Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have everyone here with us today. My name is Hannah Crapeau. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Certiport, and we're so grateful to have you joining us for our third Certified Academy Business webinar. Now, please feel free to drop into the chat. Let us know where you're joining from and what courses you teach. We're very excited to have representation, I know, from all the states across the United States, as well as from different countries across the globe. So thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon and evening to be here. Now, this session is being recorded, so we will make sure to send a link to the recording after our presentation has wrapped this afternoon. But if you have questions, since we are recording, we've put everyone on mute, feel free to drop those into the chat or the Q&A feature, and we'll make sure to have our panelists address those questions as we go throughout our presentation today. I wanted to just take a moment to recognize the sponsor of this session, the Entrepreneurship and Small Business Certification Program. The ESB certification ensures tomorrow's leaders are prepared with the toolkit they need to get ahead in today's competitive landscape. Whether your students are starting a bakery or launching a next billion-dollar startup, ESB validates their understanding of core business principles, including the essentials needed to launch and maintain a successful business. And of course, this is a perfect lead into our topic today, where we are talking about entrepreneurship education and the great unknown. And we have some excellent panelists who are here to discuss this with us. Our first is Jason Delgado, who is the VP of Curriculum and Research at the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Since joining NIFTY in 2009 as a program manager in the Chicago office, Jason has played an integral role in the evolution of NIFTY's next generation instructional resources, from authoring the 12th edition of NIFTY's Owning Your Future textbook to the creation of NIFTY's Entrepreneurship and Small Business Pathway. Prior to his time at NIFTY, his experience included working for divisions of Pearson and Kaplan Academic Tutoring, as well as teaching in the Chicago public school system. Our next is Kenny Turner. Kenny is the Director of National Post-Secondary and Alumni Programs at NIFTY. He specializes in the development and implementation of community-based programs geared toward the economic development of under-resourced communities. Kenny is also a business education training specialist with 15 plus years of experience in design, delivery, and administration of business education services. He also has experience working with academic institutions and business entities with a focus on business education, workforce development, and community development, both in New York and Los Angeles. In the past several years, Kenny has helped NIFTY's Los Angeles region expand its program offerings while providing leadership and innovation. Our next panelist is Dr. Angela Adeshina, now she's going to have to correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Morrison, who earned her PhD in Training and Performance Improvement from Capella University. She's a seasoned professional with over 20 years of leadership experience in a variety of industries, including healthcare, sales, and training environments. She has served as a vice president for a nonprofit organization and is a business owner. Angela is also a published author, and her work has been featured in trade publications. She currently teaches business and marketing courses with Broward County Public Schools in Florida and serves as the department chair for the applications department. In her brief tenure at BCPS, she has led her students to a first-place victory in a business competition and exceeded the national pass rate for the AICE business exam. Angela has a proven leadership ability, excellent communication and presentation skills, and is in constant pursuit of excellence. Now, last but certainly not least, we have Niall Jones, who's representing our students and learners today. Niall used to think that teenagers didn't want to be involved in their community, but she realized lack of involvement was mostly about perception and societal approval. She created More to Give, a platform, brand, movement, and mindset that aims to change the way people see world challenges by making communal interaction exciting and impactful, offering a fresh aspect of volunteering. With many nonprofits and charitable organizations struggling to stay afloat, More to Give seeks to inspire a new wave of community involvement through rotating causes, member interactions, an online store, and much more. After high school, Niall plans to attend college and study business management and environmental science. And of course, we have an amazing, amazing group, and Niall, who's starting a business even while she's in high school. So we couldn't have a better panel to be able to talk about entrepreneurship today. We're so excited. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, Jason, to get us started. And I'll stop sharing so that we can get your slides going as well.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you all for being here today. We're so excited for a wonderful conversation. I am actually going to turn it over to the man of the hour who's going to be facilitating the first part of the conversation. We have another amazing staff member with us today, Daniel Williams, who is a program manager for our Southeast region. And I'll let Daniel introduce himself in a second and tell you a little more about himself and then what the work Nifty does, and then we will kick off the discussion. But go ahead, Daniel, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Jason. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for all of you who are joining us today. It is my absolute pleasure to be here. Like, really, truly a pleasure. Like, I know people say that all the time, but like, I'm really happy to be here today. My name's a program manager for the Nifty Southeast region. And I actually saw several of our teachers actually put their information in the chat. So hey to all of you, as well as to the gentleman joining us from Kuwait. You get the award for coming from the furthest away so far. This particular discussion is one that is very near and dear to my heart. I enjoy immensely speaking about entrepreneurship education, especially in the context of what's coming down the pike in the great unknown. And I am looking so forward to having this discussion with these panelists today. But before we get started, we just want to talk a little bit about what Nifty does for those who are not as familiar as some might be on this discussion. First and foremost, we are the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. It's a very handy acronym that makes it so much easier to say our name by saying Nifty than saying all of that out loud. And our mission and our goal is to ignite the entrepreneurial mindset with unique learning experiences that empower students to own their own futures. Now, it's a lot of words to basically say that as things start to change and shift, and we're going to have that discussion as we're talking with our experts today, the best thing that we can do is not just give them the hard skills, but also the soft skills and the ability to adapt and to continually learn. Our target audience does seek to address young people from the ages of 11 to 24, largely from under-resourced communities. And we look to work largely with districts and schools that offer significant amounts of free and reduced lunch, eligibility of roughly 51% or more. A majority of our partner schools do average 70 to 80% with the free and reduced lunch rates. So we're always looking for the opportunity to really impact those that most need it. Moving along to just talking a little bit about our panel. One of the things that I love about this particular panel is it's actually people that I actually not just really enjoying some of my favorite people on the planet, and that's saying a lot on a planet of 8-point-something billion people, but they're also individuals that I admire. And I think as we have this discussion, you will understand why I say that. I will start off by asking everyone to just introduce themselves, starting with obviously the amazing and talented Miss Niall Jones. I know we read your bio, but if there's something that you would like us to know about you, now is a perfect time to share that with the group. Niall, the floor is yours.
Okay, I want to say thank you guys for having me. That was a great introduction. Yeah, so I've been in business and entrepreneurship classes since middle school. I went to Apollo Middle. I did BPA. I've been with Nifty since I started high school. And just in general of the Nifty program, I think that had a lot to do with my success as a young entrepreneur. And then also with ESB and getting the opportunity to take these certifications, which was able to continue to help me to build the skills and the knowledge that I had about business and about entrepreneurship. So I'm excited for today. I guess I don't really have anything else.
But we've got more questions for you, so don't worry.
I know.
We don't want to spoil it. Use it all at the beginning. Up next is an educator, an amazing educator that I am a huge fan of. I think she's doing amazing work. Dr. Morrison, if you'll just give us just a couple of things that you would like us to know about you that did not get mentioned in your bio.
Sure. Again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much again for having me, Nifty, and specifically Daniel for the invitation. I am excited about entrepreneurship. Like they said in my bio, I am a business owner myself. And what I really love about education and my students is keeping them engaged, seeing that light bulb go off, as they make the connections between what they're doing and some of the theory that's out there and some of the science that's out there as it relates to kind of how to approach business and marketing, and then putting, of course, a 21st century spin on how they do it. So it's exciting to see, it's exciting to be a part of, and I look forward to sharing in this environment.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Morrison. And last but not least, my friend, my colleague, dare I say, I look up to this gentleman, Mr. Kenny Turner, from the West Coast. Kenny.
Thank you, Dan. You are highly admired too, my friend. So trust me. Kenny Turner, currently residing in the LA area, Los Angeles area of California. Originally from New York City, where I came across Nifty in 2004. I got trained as an educator. I became a teacher trainer and trained educators across the country, also globally, and settled here in LA to build the programming here in the LA region, and now back nationally, working with our national office over the last couple of years, building out our post-secondary college programming and also our alumni programming. And I guess the only thing I'll, as we talk, have this panel discussion, Nifty, we're constantly trying to think about, well, what's next? After they go through a Nifty program, after they get a certification, after they've enjoyed their year or so experience with Nifty, is there any more that we can do to engage? And what does that really mean? How will that really help them and help the communities that we're looking to serve? So I'm excited to have this conversation. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this panel with all of you. So thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Thank you so very much, Kenny. So let's go ahead and get this discussion started. One of the first things that I really want to do is take a moment to just discuss why we're all so passionate about entrepreneurship education. And I guess the best place to start is by starting with somebody who's most recently encountered entrepreneurship education as a critical stakeholder. Nael, talk to us a little bit about how learning about entrepreneurship has impacted your path personally.
Okay, so I told you guys that I started with business entrepreneurship courses, I would think quite young. So when I went into high school, I already had a passion for business, and I admired how, you can take different pieces of information, knowledge, and be able to create something, something brand new and something that you can share. I can say that when I started high school and I was exposed to a lot more different resources and different programs, you see that students who did not have, I would say, the background or the experience that I did, they were still interested. So I think it starts somewhere. And with the classes that I got the opportunity to take, you can see how like the light bulb is going off every single day. It was something new every day, because you continue to learn and you can always apply it. We had students coming in who never thought beforehand that they could be a business owner or that they could be someone to start this and be able to share it with the rest of the world. So being able to have those type of resources at your fingertips and have people there to support you in that journey to success, I think starting young and being able to continue to implement these type of resources into schools, it's an eye opener, and not just to say that everybody's going to start a business, but even talking to some of my fellow peers, it was a confidence booster. It allowed them to be creative, to express themselves in different forms, and in forms that we can say was productive, is counted as successful, and that allowed them to continue to build and grow as a person and as a student. So firsthand, I know we're talking about Certiport. So with doing these certifications and seeing kids my age and younger, so now I'm a senior, so I get to kind of go in and talk to some of the younger students and see them, they're excited when they learn something new and they can go and tell somebody else. So yeah, that's kind of my viewpoint from inside the classroom. I've kind of taken a lot of the different courses, I can say. So right now, as pertaining to school, I'm in that where I'm kind of talking to younger people and kind of seeing how it was when I was in their shoes, and just to see them like excited about learning about business is something that I can see the growth compared to just simply 3 years ago from when I was younger. So it's definitely a growing movement, which I'm excited to be a part of.
Man, thank you so much. And I y'all don't know, like I first met Nael 3 years ago. And Niall was
Yeah.
not a person who loved talking in public. So, you know, when she speaks about like that growth and that development, like that is a real,
It's
very
real.
real testament that she is sharing with us right now.
Yeah.
Dr. Morrison, you too have had so many hands and touched so many parts of the entrepreneurship journey. Why do you feel that teaching entrepreneurship is beneficial to young people, and what impact have you seen it have on your own students?
Great question. I probably would say the biggest impact would be that um, all of the traditional models to education are being challenged right now. They've probably been challenged for some time now. And it's interesting to see, like I said, a 21st century spin on how students are preparing for their futures. It's very technology driven. It's extremely driven with, you know, those that want to own and operate their own businesses. Very different, what I would say, from my day in terms of how you would approach that. And I would think that the impact is going to be significant in, you know, how it's going to even affect us as we're continuing to age, and how the landscape of business, just the workforce in general, how different it's going to be as we fast forward and look down the line. You know, even 10 years, I feel like it's going to look very different from what it looks like today. And of course, even further beyond. So I just think that entrepreneurship is a new, I don't want to call it a trend, but on some level, it's the new thing. It's the new it factor, where, like I said, that traditional model of working for somebody else for the rest of your life and having a long tenure, those days are gone. And you know, our kids want to do it on their own, for themselves, and you know, really be their own bosses, as you would say.
And that is such a true statement. I mean, I think we see it when we talk to them, and that interest they all have in somehow owning their own future at a much younger age.
Absolutely.
So for Kenny, kind of the same question, right? Why do you think that teaching entrepreneurship to young adults is important, and what impact have you seen it have in the work that you're doing in the post-secondary and
Alumni. Yeah.
alumni space? There we go.
You know, it's interesting. The young adult population and teenagers, they're already doing entrepreneurship on their own, right? We're catching up with them. They've already explored. They've already done their research and homework. They've been on YouTube videos for hours. They've watched influencers. They've done their own reading. And so when it gets to the education component or into the classroom, it's like, oh yeah, you know. So it's like we're catching up, right? And so what can we do as an organization to partner with educational institutions to create and cultivate an environment that actually allows them to see what they're, you know, to visualize what they're, you know, what they're talking about, but also help them implement it as well. And one thing that really stands out, is so interesting, is that in this season, you know, where entrepreneurship learning and entrepreneurship tools are so accessible, with or without the classroom, you know, it's really fun to be able to come alongside that student's passion and present a feasible approach to entrepreneurship education. You know, an approach that kind of feeds into the fact that, you know, maybe, you know, whether or not you can start that restaurant for $100,000 or not, you know, it remains to be seen. But boy, I wonder if you could start that catering company and just sell a few meals for folks at the next family gathering. You know, it's kind of going from, you know, it's big, you know, small might be too big. We might have to go independent contractor. We might have to be, how do we help you enhance your gig economy experience, etc. Right? And so, how do we help you think about a micro business? And what do you need to take the next step? That's really where the Nifty curriculum really comes in, because along with the curriculum, we provide this opportunity that we really see fruit for years to come. I'll say this: we offer a program. It's an incubator for our alumni. So Niall, please keep us in mind for that. It's called the Founders Forum. And as you continue to grow your business and do more, we have resources along the way. But we have this incubator where you can kind of get a mentor, and connect. And it's been fun because the last few years, as we started it and we continue to grow that program, we've seen alumni come back from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And there's one alum, they took Nifty about 10 years ago. They came back. They were a lawyer. They already had their law degree. We had a couple. They had their MBAs already. We have one in this cohort. She has her PhD. She already took Nifty, and yet they come back. And and it's interesting because they come back to get this high level of support and community that they may not be able to build on their own. So while they've got the certification, while they got the degrees, while they got the knowledge, they come back because Nifty also builds this ecosystem that's very hard to replicate on your own. And so we take that pressure off the educator as well as the learner to come back and tap into all of these great organizations, entrepreneurs that you mentioned, and everyone else that we get to cultivate and for years to come. So that's been really fun to watch, and I think that's when you really see the fruit of where whether they start a business or go work for one, thinking like an entrepreneur, it really is impactful all around. So that's keeps me in it, keeps me going.
And I love, there are two things that you said specifically that I love that will help me kind of open up the next question. One of them is that you see it bear fruit further down the road. And I always like to say that the work that everyone is doing, from the work that Dr. Morrison is doing, to the work that they're doing at Certiport, to the work that Jason and his team is doing, it's really about planting seeds, right? And a lot of the times you see those seeds kind of bear fruit down the road through cultivation and careful nurturing. And I mean, Niall is an example of that, right? But there's another thing that you said where you said, we're catching up. And so I wanted to ask, right, why do you think it is important to help young people develop an entrepreneurial mindset to be successful in their future? And I'm going to start with Dr. Morrison on this one.
Well, you hit it on the head. I think that the pace of things is so different nowadays that we have to arm them with the tools necessary to continue to be able to evolve, because that is the environment that they are part of. It's constant evolution. Even something introduced last year has morphed and changed in comparison to what it was last year. In comparison to this year. So I think giving them those tools, those foundational pieces to, continue to have that entrepreneurial mindset is what's going to help them, to continue to be able to adapt and self-sustaining in the future. And that's just the short answer and the long answer, to be quite honest with you.
No, I love that you said it's something to help them sustain, right? Because I think it's difficult for education to be all things to all people, but if you can help them develop, but we're talking about these young people as if we don't have one in the room right now. So Niall, why do you feel it has been important for you to develop your entrepreneurial mindset?
I think, so when you say me is me, but I'm kind of speaking for, people my age and students as a whole. Starting out, and I keep reverting back to me starting and having, I wouldn't really call it a head start, but starting a little bit early, because a lot of the students that I've come across, they started when they were in high school, and they were a little bit older, so whatever. But seeing people, that realization of owning your own things and kind of being your own boss is really important as well. But kind of going back to what she was saying about how we're evolving, and even from my point of view and what I'm looking at now, kids my age, it seems like we're at that point where everybody has their own opinions of what they believe is right and wrong, whatever. But everybody kind of has their own, I want to say, niche. So what you like, what you own, and you end up opening doors for the people behind you. And what happens is things are changing so much, and it's allowing for people to create their own lanes and to have their own thoughts and their own sense of expression. And once you see the first person do it, it continues, and you get to see how the more that we all kind of take our own and build our own, people continue to do so. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I feel like that's kind of that's the first part at hand. And you end up creating something, and even if it's not on your own, you can take that same idea, and it can a lot of the times it all starts off as an idea. And you take that, but with these type of resources, you end up building that confidence and gaining resources to be able to turn it from an idea to something in person, something you can hold or something that you can do for other people. And we're in that day and age where service is really big. And going back to her talking about technology, that's a big one. A lot we depend on technology for everything. So as we continue to grow, we continue to learn new things. You know, kids, we spend a lot of time on internet and all that. So we learn new stuff every day. Not to say that everything out there is good, but we're exposed to a lot more now. And I think the more that we give people my age, I don't want to say freedom, but to some extent, freedom to be able to kind of to build on what we've seen in the past and to create new things and to be able to progress. And like she said, evolve. I think it's a really big component of it all.
I love the fact that you both use the word evolve. But I
Yes.
don't want to take anything that Kenny would like to add to this discussion. So, Kenny, why do you feel it's important for young people to develop their entrepreneurial mindset?
Yeah, and you know, it's something that we've seen. Evolve is a great word, by the way, to this answer, because originally years ago when we began talking about entrepreneurship education, it was always in the context of that young person. It wasn't a success unless they actually went and registered that business, right? And so we know now that an entrepreneurial mindset is really a holistic approach to life. And so thinking entrepreneurially, having more initiative, being creative, figuring out how, critical thinking, right? Those strategies, those skill sets are going to help you, if you go and register that business right now, or, if you continue on in your post-secondary experience, or if you go and into the world of work. We have examples where an entrepreneurial mindset is adapted in all three of those areas. And add number 4, life, where folks have come back and said, I'm a better person because I've identified these skill sets that, one, I've already been, activating. I just didn't have a way to label it. I didn't have a way to identify it. And so now I know that some things I already bring to the table. Nifty helped me to, bring some context to what was going on in my life. And I've seen over and over again just testimony, and you have too, Daniel, Jason, Dr. Morrison. I know you have, Nael, you're living this out right now, and there's plenty of people on the chat that probably would agree, right? Like that, it doesn't necessarily, the only measurement of success is not, an immediate business startup, but an activation towards some of these other areas to continuously take initiative, think entrepreneurially, leverage and build on what's around them, take full advantage in a good way of their social capital, and tap into the network that's being presented to them. And we've literally seen young people who have given their business pitch presentation, and there might have been someone in the audience to just love them as humans, just in the way that the process has changed them in terms of their grit and their and their love and passion. And we've seen them get supported from on a variety of ways that could help them in their careers, from referrals to help with scholarships and things like that. So that's why I've enjoyed seeing the expansion and thought around entrepreneurial mindset and what it could really do in a holistic view.
Love that answer. Love that answer. And I would be remiss, right? Because the entrepreneurial mindset is such a concept that is still relatively fresh, and a lot of people are catching on. But I would be remiss if we didn't also talk about the fact that we also have the ESB certification that is also available to students who take entrepreneurship courses and classes. Nael, you actually have the opportunity to take and pass your certification, and I believe you're also helping the teacher now with preparing students that are coming down the road. So how did that passing that certification and attaining that certification help you personally?
Yes, so the course that I was taking that he's referring to is one of the courses that my school offered for students that were trying to go into business. So we were exposed to the ESB, and we used a program called, what was it? Geometrics. So that was something that helped us prepare. But all in all, now, when I took the certification and the exam, it wasn't easy, like the easiest thing. However, being exposed to the different, they gave us tasks and the different, what is it called? I'm sorry. Not exercises, but the examples. Thank you. Gosh, I'm so sorry. The real life examples that we were able to apply our knowledge to and kind of gain more information. So even though I already had the class that I was taking, and yes, I had a teacher, but being able to use ESB and obtaining that certification, it opened more doors because people, it's a pretty big deal. And then also learning. So the knowledge that you gain from it as well. So with me now, although I've gotten my certification, this class that she's the teacher, she's also preparing other students to get their certifications. So we do different resources. They talk to each other, and you'll be able to see, and they apply from math to figuring out just what like basic skills of different types of businesses. So they're able to take that information and that foundation of business and then apply it to their own. And then you can kind of flip it to the entrepreneurial side of, well, now that you have this information, what can you do and how can you apply it? How can you apply it to your own? So you know different types of businesses, you know the foundation of business and what it takes to build one. And then you can take that and then continue with your passion or creativity and kind of mix it all together. And that's really how I ended up here. I can speak for myself. ESB definitely had a really big part in that because it was a learning opportunity for me. It gave me different resources and different insight on how business works. So after I got the certification, I was able to apply all the knowledge that I gained into my own business. And then like now I can even pass it on to the students for me. So thank you.
I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for your answer. Dr. Morrison, you actually have not just had students take and pass, you've turned it into a celebration at your school at Fort Lauderdale High. And can you talk to me a little bit about the impact that you've seen on your students in preparing and passing the certification for entrepreneurship and small business?
Absolutely. I was introduced to ESB on last school year, and I took it and ran with it. And just like the experience that Mael expressed, my students use geometrics, but I also put my students in a boot camp after they completed their geometrics tutorials to make sure that they had a good understanding of the content that was presented and that they could then turn around and utilize it. And I did it in a fun way that, you know, learning is always great when folks don't realize that they're learning. We played Family Feud with it and speed dating with it. And we had a good time. And I honestly had students who told me, Dr. Morrison, I don't know about that geometrics, but I paid attention during your boot camp and I was able to pass the test. And to your point, Daniel, we've taken it and made it a celebratory thing where we got buy-in from our principal and our assistant principal to actually make it a miniature graduation. So all of our students that acquired the ESB certification, we held a special assembly in their honor. We invited their parents. We asked them to dress up in business attire. We converted our auditorium to a graduation stage for the most part. We brought in this keynote speaker. What was his name?
I heard he was awesome.
Daniel Williams from Nifty. We brought in a keynote speaker to address the students and encourage and motivate them, you know, that this was a great achievement that they could utilize not only today with their Nifty projects, but, you know, they're entrepreneurs in the making. And not only did it impact those students that acquired and passed their ESB certification, but it also ignited some passion and some motivation for those that perhaps up until that moment may not have been interested or may not have passed it, depending on what path that they were. And we had several students come to us post the assembly for the students, asking, when can I take it again? Or can I take it for the first time? So we achieved our objective by getting them to buy in. And then we kind of threw in a little incentive. Our school, we offered them hoodies as kind of their diploma, if you will. So we provided them with a hoodie that said ESB certified, and they also got their printed out certificate from Certiport and a photo op with our principal and assistant principal. And it really was just received really, really well. The students felt good afterwards. And we know that Nifty, it's great to have the success stories where you've had a person turned lawyer or a person turned, to some other profession. I think that's wonderful. But the other benefit that Nifty offers in this pathway is that we know that, like I said before, education, so college is not in everyone's future. And this gives them another opportunity to utilize something that they can, secure their future with and work towards their future.
Wow, thank you. I mean, it just sounds like that speaker really, really, really had an impact on the young
I
people.
tell you, that speaker, I tell you.
That was one of the reasons why I really wanted to include you in this discussion, because you didn't just take it as a test that you give them, they pass it, and you move on. You've made it into an actual event that really kind of celebrated the young people and kind of connected the dots. Kenny, I do want to give you the opportunity to field the last question. Do you think it is valuable for young adults and college-age students to also earn their ESB certification?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So what's been interesting is when you think about entrepreneurship education, in some cases, someone might think you have to go to college to be a business major. What's happening is, our partners on the post-secondary side, the community colleges that we're working with, et cetera, you know, there are students who are taking, majoring in different subject matters that want to learn entrepreneurial components and key educational skills. And so offering or being the ability to be able to offer ESB to those schools as an option, whether you're a business major or not, actually has been extremely helpful, because community colleges can offer not only for credit but also non-credit pathways, which allows students who are not in a traditional business pathway or major to still learn something entrepreneurially and be a part of an entrepreneurial community. So we have been able to form relationships that allow for that learning to take place as well. So we're excited that that we get to kind of morph and contextualize the experience for the students and meet them where they're at, whether they're a traditional business major or not.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you to everyone who participated in this panel. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being willing to share your insights. Nael, I appreciate you. Always proud of you. Dr. Morrison, you are an absolute inspiration. Kenny, what can I say? You continue to be a leader and somebody that I really look forward to speaking with and learning from. Jason, we return the floor back to you.
Yes, thank you. And if my panelists, thank you so much again for being here today. Like echo Daniel's thanks. We are going to keep you around for a few more minutes if possible, because I'm going to show in 5 minutes or less, just a quick overview of some of the programs that are available from Nifty through Certiport, who's a wonderfully amazing partner to us. And then after I get through these slides, we're going to open up for the last 10 minutes for a few questions that were answered in the chat for either our panelist or myself or Daniel. So just to quickly show my slides, or Daniel, can you see my slides? We're good? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to try to do this very, very quickly, but the moral of the story is, like I said, Certiport is a very, very wonderful partner to NIFTY. NIFTY has all of its programs aligned to the ESB certification, every program at every grade level. And so if you do any NIFTY programs, you are preparing your students for the ESB certification. A number of our programs and resources are available through Certiport. And so one of the things that we'll make sure you leave with today is an opportunity to connect with your Certiport rep if you're not aware already of who they are, to potentially inquire about NIFTY programs. Just a quick plug on this side. So NIFTY offers textbooks actually published through Pearson, which is obviously the owner of Certiport is the parent company. So you can get textbooks at a middle school level, at a high school level, and a post-secondary level that are NIFTY textbooks that again are ESB aligned content for your classrooms. Some of the more robust programming offerings that we have in our through Certiport is our Entrepreneurial Mindset Index exam. So something that you heard all the panelists talk about a lot is that importance of building and activating and growing an entrepreneurial mindset. So NIFTY actually has the first scientifically valid tool. We were kind of the first to market in developing a survey that we give to our students so that students are able to see their top 3 domains of their entrepreneurial mindset, see what areas they need to grow, see which things that they can potentially leverage into potential business opportunities. And so everything that the NIFTY programs do is all around activating and growing that really important mindset that all of our panelists talked about. And once again, you can get access to the EMI assessment through Certiport. One quick plug on this is that for our high school educators, 5 of the 8 entrepreneurial mindset index domains are actually 21st century skills. So if a lot of your schools have priorities around developing non-cognitive skills like critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and innovation, et cetera. Again, all the NIFTY programs not only prepare you for the ESB certification, but grow these different domains. And we have a survey tool to help measure that growth. So a really awesome tool that you can get through Certiport. A couple more slides, and then I'm going to pass it, or I'm going to unshare, and then we can close out the last 10 minutes for any last questions for the panel. So ESB Prep is an actual new program that is also available through Certiport. So this is a unique self-paced module that you can get. This is more geared for high school students. This actually is NIFTY content kind of packaged in a way that is can be a completely self-paced experience, or it could be combined with an entrepreneurship course as kind of a refresher course, but it has all of the content that you need for your students to pass an ESB certification in kind of just a packaged module. So again, really helpful for high school classrooms that either want to kind of just have that everything kind of in a box or supplement what you're already doing. And then the last slide I'm going to talk to, but then I'm going to have Kenny also kind of carry our add on at the end if I miss anything. But we also have a kind of analogous to ESB Prep. We have a program called Start It Up, which is for our post-secondary space. And it's a curriculum that, again, can be designed for post-secondary or adult learners to do it either in a self-paced setting, or again, a community college can opt in to use some of the instructional resources that we have also built. I don't know, Kenny, do you want to say anything about Start It Up that I did not?
Yeah, just briefly is in addition to, as Jason said, it has a self-paced component. We find though our partners are leaning more towards faculty-led experiences, but it does give a flexibility that's pretty interesting. So we're partnering with some community colleges that offer Start It Up as a dual enrollment course for the high schools they work with locally. And so it fits really nicely into a dual enrollment experience. So that's one way. It's also offered for credit, sometimes with colleges to pivot the main resource that's being used within that business course is difficult, could take a year plus sometimes to make that change with the department. But Start It Up allows for a complement, not necessarily a replacement. And so whatever current curriculum that might already be used within that for credit experience, this complements very well because it offers a set of resources that goes well with an existing experience, and then also non-credit. And so if you're operating or in a non-credit context where you offer business to the community, to local entrepreneurs, to students who are not on a business track, but they want to learn business, we also fit in that context really well. So in a college space, we fit really well in those 3 areas. So So it's been really great to offer that to the education community.
Thanks, Kenny. All right, so with that, I'm going to stop sharing because I know we only have about 10 minutes left. So I know there's Hannah. I know Hannah said there were some questions we wanted to make sure get answered, although it looks like there's a whole lot more questions now. So I don't. We'll see how
Yeah,
many
we've
we
had a
get
few
to.
more come in through the chat, which I think is fabulous, but I'll start with the ones that we just kind of had top of the hour and go through just kind of in order as they were submitted. So the first one, we had a couple people dropping into the chat as they were joining saying that they're a nifty certified educator. And so we had others who weren't wanted to ask, how can I become a nifty certified educator?
Great question. There is, I'll just put it in my team. Short answer is we do trainings mostly during the summer, but we do trainings throughout the school year also. I'm sorry, during the school year also. But you can email myself directly. My team manages all of the Nifty teacher training. So if you're interested in becoming a Nifty certified teacher, we would love to have you. You can email me at jasond@nifty.com and I can help you get to the right person that can help you out.
Fabulous. And I know that we've addressed this a little bit, but one of the questions that came in before is, can Nifty be used at the community college level? What resources kind of align to K-12? What resources align for a higher education experience?
Yeah, and you can talk a little bit more about Kenny, but as I mentioned before with our slides, so not just the ESB prep courses, all of the Nifty content, whether it's the textbooks or kind of full in-school programs, are completely aligned to the ESB certifications. So the lessons that you get actually say this is aligned to the CSB standard, etc. So everything in the courses are aligned to preparing for students at both the secondary and the post-secondary level. And then Kenny, I don't know if you want to talk maybe a little bit about just from the post-secondary side of things.
Yeah, briefly is, and I'm left my email in there. I can, if you're interested and it's something that you think might be feasible for you to implement, then I can send you more information on it. I can also give you access to a demo where you can experience the curriculum to see if it fits your needs more specifically. But I think the best way is set up a meeting, sometime to meet. I can give you more details that way, and I think that'll be helpful, and we can identify if this is something that you'd like to implement with your college.
Love it. Thank you. I'm interested to hear the response for this, because I know that we have teachers who are using other curriculum options as well. So we had a teacher who just dropped into the chat and said, I just purchased LearnKey, which is another one of our learning products partners, for the ESB certification exam. Would the curriculum you just mentioned be better than LearnKey or be something to add and supplement together? So Jason, I'll let you field that one.
Well, I mean, obviously the Nifty team's biased, so I think the Nifty team would say
this is a non-biased panel.
It's a non-biased panel. But I think that it's, and I don't know, Dr. Morse, or I mean, I don't know if anybody else is familiar with the LearnKey or can say anything kind of, maybe objectively, but I think that, it's always good to, if you can have more resources, the better. So if you're able to kind of do both, that's great. I don't know, Dr. Morse, do you have any thoughts?
I like the LearnKey product. Unfortunately, we no longer have access to it, so we just have the Gmetrics product. I'm excited to hear that there's a Nifty prep course, because I think that would be a good pairing or a good complement to what we're already doing. So I personally am excited to hear a little bit more about that. But LearnKey, everything has its pros and its cons, but I definitely, if I had to compare the two, between Gmetrics and LearnKey, I would prefer LearnKey.
I think that's helpful. And I will say, if you're looking at demos, as Kenny's mentioned, of Nifty resources also on the LearnKey side and the Certiport resources that we offer, we're happy to do that. I've also dropped my email into the chat. So you're more than welcome to reach out to us directly if you want to kind of weigh some of those options, figure out how you want to piece together what's going to work best for curriculum resources for your classroom. Now, those are all of the questions that we had. We'll stay here for just a couple more minutes, but I did just want to call out something else for those who are joining us. We are so happy to have all of you here. If you're interested in taking your own ESB certification, if you want to test out the exam before you deliver it to your students, which we of course highly recommend, we would recommend that you participate in our Certified Academy Bootcamp experience. So that allows you not just access to these training sessions, but also the opportunity to take a certification exam on your own. So if you're not already registered for that bootcamp, please go ahead and email me, hannah.davis@pearson.com. And again, that email is in the chat. And please make sure to join us next week. We're celebrating National Entrepreneurship Week. We hope that you're all continuing to keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive over the next couple weeks. We'll be sitting down with a panel of entrepreneurs who are going to be talking about lessons that they've learned as they've started their own businesses, kind of what they wish they would have known going into it, and what they wish that educators would have shared with them. So we've gotten some great insights today as we've talked about these journeys that everyone has been on, but we hope that you can join us for our next week's session as well. And I'll go ahead and drop the link here into the chat so you can see the description for next week's session, as well as for upcoming sessions that'll be happening over the next several weeks. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We so appreciate you. I think we'll go ahead and just wrap up a couple minutes early, but thank you, Daniel, Jason, Kenny, Dr. Morrison, Nayel, for all of you sharing your insights and your wonderful experiences with us. We know we've had some incredible comments from educators in the chat who have learned so much, and I just want to personally echo that and say, we really appreciate you, and we appreciate the experiences and insights that you've shared. So thank you so much, everyone. We hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. We hope to see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone.
You all.